All right. Actually, as a follow-up to that Rosh Hashanah story that we talked about last week, one of your colleagues was booted out, I think, out of a hearing on the case we talked about. So first describe the case, then what happened at this hearing, and it appears you got some transcripts or something, so you know what happened.
So Rick LaRiviere is a
Mhm,
black journalist. That's how
mhm,
he identifies. And in the state of Oregon, it's all about how you identify, right? If you
mhm,
identify as a black journalist, you're a black journalist, Michael, in the state of
mhm,
Oregon, at least. They have a LGBTQ plus governor. They have
mhm,
an attorney general who fits in that same box, it looks like.
mhm,
And so Rick decided that he was going to cover the hearing about a South Carolina watchdog group executive director named Jill Jones Soderman. She
mhm,
filed a amicus letter with the court out in Oregon in a case, the Rubio case, and it was related to the cover-up of a child murder. And
mhm,
she filed a 7-page letter and talked about her experience. She's written books on family court and everything else. And
mhm,
they tried to first say she had committed the unauthorized practice of law by
mhm,
submitting a letter to the court as an amicus. Well, that dog
mhm,
wasn't going to happen. Then they said she was trying to practice psychiatry as a doctor because she
mhm,
mentioned Munchausen. That wasn't going to fly. But they decided on the psychology board charging her with the unauthorized practice of psychology and fining her $10,000. And
mhm,
this hearing is the administrative hearing on the $10,000 fine for a person in South Carolina who's an expert and somebody who comments on the issues, sending a
mhm,
letter to the court as an amicus, worrying about a public interest situation, the murder of a child being covered up by Oregon CPS. And
mhm,
so Rick LaRiviere decided, man, I'm going to go and check out what's going on. So he acquired the call in to this audio hearing, and he
mhm,
calls in, and right away he gets himself singled out and says, "Oh, you can't be here." And
mhm,
so he goes off on the First Amendment, and he
mhm,
acquired a recording and a transcript of the event,
mhm.
and so they wanted we wanted to get the other one to get the original transcript of the certified transcript, but they
Mhm,
haven't released it. They won't release the certified transcript to see what's true and what's not. But when
mhm,
Rick asked whether he was being excluded from the room because was it because he was a journalist, was it because he was black, was it because he was both? It
mhm,
appears that the administrative law judge Rickshaw said yes, yes,
mhm.
and because this is a
And
closed
it's
hearing.
possible that that was like a canned response. Like you ask a question and your like instincts say yes. I don't know
And
if the judge.
that's the point, Michael. I want that you want the whole
Mhm,
transcript released, so the audio especially, so we can
mhm,
hear what really happened. If this is racism, if this is
mhm,
a First Amendment violation based on freedom of the press, and
mhm.
there's religious stuff too, because they did a drop of paperwork on Jill Jones Soderman the day before Rosh Hashanah. And you're Jewish, Michael. What does Rosh Hashanah mean to a Jewish person?
It's the new year.
So it's an
So
important holiday.
one of the three what are referred to as high holidays, along with Yom Kippur and Passover. But it's the
So
Jewish New Year. Very important,
So
obviously.
if at 2 o'clock, and these Jewish holidays have some familiarity with the Jewish religion, they start at
Mhm.
what time? Sundown, correct?
Right. Everything starts at sundown and ends at
So
sundown.
if at
Right.
4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Rosh Hashanah you get this drop of hundreds of pages of discovery
Mhm,
documents, and the
mhm.
hearing is the day after Rosh Hashanah, do you have
Yeah,
time to
they're
prepare?
right.
That's a
Yeah.
document drop. That's 34. Now, this guy is Dan Rayfield. This guy's a real bum. Okay, he's the Attorney General of Oregon. He's the one that's fighting Trump right now too. So he's fighting
Mhm,
Trump for the troops, and he's fighting black people, and he's fighting Jewish people, and he's fighting journalists because he just doesn't like rights. He doesn't like people. He doesn't like the Constitution. He's an
mhm,
authoritarian. But here's it right here. That's enough. I'm excluding you from this hearing, Mr. LaRiviere. And Rick
mhm,
says, on what grounds, Judge? Tell me. Are you excluding me because I'm black, because I'm a
mhm.
journalist, or is it both? Judge Rexstraw, yes. And I'm excluding you because this hearing is close to the public. It's confidential, subject to a protective order, and you have no right to be here. Right? And we
Right.
asked them questions about this. We asked this Bertoni, who's the assistant attorney, what's going on here? At least
Mhm.
say, okay, it was a misstatement. Give us the
Well,
full
how? Wait,
transcript.
hold on. How is this a matter for the Attorney General's office that a
The Attorney
judge?
General's office prosecutes on behalf of
What's the
the Oregon Psychology Board.
what crime is committed here by keeping him out of a courtroom? It's not a crime.
And Mike, there's a very important case on point, right? There are two important cases here, Supreme Court. So everybody listen. This is the legal portion of this podcast. NAACP v. Button. That's a very famous case where the NAACP sent in an amicus brief on an issue about a race issue. They're the National Association of Advancement of Colored People. The court said, no, you can't do this, and we can sanction you for putting these letters in and for trying to be an amicus. And the Supreme Court of the United States said no. They said clearly, if you are if it's an issue of public interest, then the court must accept from anybody who wants to speak on the issue. If it's a family court issue, Michael, you have the expertise. You could write a letter at any family court as a journalist if there's an issue that you wanted to raise because it's a public interest. That's the first one. The second one is a very important case that the Supreme Court talked about recently in 2015 that is called North Carolina Board of Dental Examiners versus Federal Trade Commission. That's a 2015 case. What does that case say? That case says that the dental examiners in North Carolina do not have immunity. So if it is found that this prosecution, in order to sniper the First Amendment rights of a South Carolina,
I'm not seeing how that's an issue that might be an issue for a lawsuit. I'm not seeing how that.
It's going to be a big lawsuit now because if they're going to.
Why are you asking the Attorney General? I don't know if you were. Why was the Attorney General asked?
The Attorney General is the one that's prosecuting the case. They're the one that's about to hold the law. If they don't
they're prosecuting which case?
Against Jill Jones Soderman.
They are the ones moving forward with a case against Jill. Oh, then you got all the reasons. Okay.
South Carolina resident saying something in a court, right? Filing a document in a court as an amicus, which is allowed to do under NAACP versus Button.
Right. Yeah.
The psychology board trying to fine her $10,000. The psychology board is now liable personally. Every member of that board can be sued. Okay? And on top of that, there's probably going to be punitive damages for every member of that board. There's going to be a big case for Jill Jones Soderman. She's going to sue the ever-living shit out of these people, and she's going to win.